Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Rumors of Heresy. My name is Adam, and I've got a grand tournament report for you today. This is the first one for this channel, the first one I've played in 10 years, and Firestorm Salamanders is the army I chose to start things and kick things off with, and let's get into it here, folks. So I did make a video about this list and what I had to deal with and everything. That's all gonna be linked in the video description if you want. I think it's about 10-ish minutes, maybe it's 20 minutes. Who knows, man? It could be like 7 hours, but one way or another, go watch that if you want my full thoughts and predictions on the tournament and everything. That's where you're gonna get that information. However, I am going to give you a very brief recap of what's going on for the people who haven't watched it and who can't be bothered to watch that video. Okay, so this list is all made from the previous video, but just something. This is the list that I had been practicing with for like the last couple months. I haven't been playing this game for super long, honestly, guys. You guys know that. I've mostly shared all of my experiences in the game up to this point, and so this is the list that I wanted to take. However, Games Workshop, in their infinite wisdom, have released new update to the points, which is honestly a pretty good update. I liked it, even though I'm not an expert at that stuff yet. It seems better. However, it did increase the points of all the models that I liked to take. They increased my list by 40 points, which I guess is kind of a compliment in some ways, because it meant that I was picking the right, efficient, amazing models and units. Here's the new list, and guys, if you want to find the full list with all the different war gear and all that stuff, find it in the video description. You can find the full one for that. There's also a link to the tournament itself that you can follow. I think you have to be a paying member to see the full list of all my different opponents, but you can get there at least and just stare at the link if you wanted to. I also give a pretty good overview of what things my opponents took, though of course I'm not going to be able to tell you every single small detail. So we added a Techmarine, which I hadn't really ever used before, got rid of some jump intercessors, and I'm just going to tell you guys right now, my secondaries really struggled, because those extra 5 jump intercessors helped so much that I was so used to using them, and you'll see that kind of reflected. But I just want to kind of give you guys a heads up in this tournament. So here's the venue, folks. Everyone is getting set up, and it's in the Denver area. It's one of the craziest metas in all the land. People tell me that it's the second strongest meta out there, which I don't, or at least in the United States. I don't know if that's true. I don't know how you can verify that, but that's what people tell me. They think it's true, and honestly, I'm inclined to agree, even though I've had a pretty good win rate since I started, so maybe people are just taking it easy on me. I mean, I did make a video about that as well. I went on a 10-win streak for a little bit there, and it's broken now, of course. But here's the final army here, folks. Hold on a sec. Whoa, my face is here again. So yeah, the army's done. I got the Land Raider repainted, or I actually had him paint a new Land Raider, so huge shout out to Cameron, and yeah, he does a really great job, folks. Yeah, as you can see, really fantastic. He didn't do the display board, but neither did I. He painted the rest of it, so really excited to have it done in time for this tournament. And you can see I got some new tech to help me, guys. First off, I was taking forever to roll dice, so I bought this dice tray to be able to roll into it, and then you can kind of just scoop the dice back into its holder, and it's just a pretty cool thing, guys. It's really fun. It's also the logo I got. I decided against getting a 40k one specifically because no one cares about that anyways. It's my own dice tray, and this is significant to me because it's my logo for my other YouTube channel, which I'm actually going to link in the video description. If you're curious, feel free to go and check it out. No pressure, guys. It's truly, if you're curious, go click on it. Throw me a sub, throw me a like. Honestly, guys, well, if you want to help me out more than anything, don't click sub on that. Like, go do that if you want. But on this channel, give thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Guys, if we can get to 1,000 subs on this channel, things are going to change in a pretty big, awesome, amazing way, and I would really appreciate that. We're already well past the 1/4 mark. Can we get more well past it? I would really appreciate that, guys. So anyways, I have this really cool dice tray. You guys will see it on the fringes every once in a while, but for the most part, man, it did help a lot, because time management at a tournament like this in Denver, the majority of events, the majority of games, we only have an hour and 15 minutes each, which, gosh, it flies. So it goes so fast, and you're so tired, and having some dice management is really, really helpful. I also got this little cart that I could park on the side of the table, and it's nice. You're able to just put your whole army on top, so that you don't have to carry like a display board and like kind of try to balance it in the middle in between tables, and it's nice, man. You can put your game clock. I have a backpack with a bunch of, like if I need a snack, if I need whatever, it has all the stuff I need, and then it's just self-contained in one thing. So it also folds up nicely to go in the car. It's a really nice piece of tech, guys. So this is exciting. I was excited until I found out who I was gonna play in my first round. Not that I dislike him, but gosh, this was a little bit nerve-wracking, to be honest. We'll be facing Astra Militarum, and against a guy who went undefeated at the last Rogue Trader tournament. He's a really good player. So let's jump into it, folks. My opponent this time for round 1 was named Andre, and he played Astra Militarum. Really nice guy, actually. I'd never played him before, but look at how he did in the Rogue Trader tournament most recently. He got some pretty nice scores, ended up just destroying everyone, and he got 3rd. I mean, he was tied for 1st, so it's a very competitive field that he was going through, and he still did extremely well. We're playing Tipping Point, and it's Purge the Foe, which is hold on. It's actually taken hold, so that's wrong. Don't pay no attention to that amazing graphic. Hey, here's the objectives. You can score up to 15 per turn on primary. That includes your home objective. And you can see his deployment here. He's got some Catachans, a couple squads of them, I think 3 total. One of them was with his huge Lord Solar squad, I believe. It's just like 3 different squads smashed into each other or something. It's crazy. He also has a couple Rogal Dorns, which I've heard a lot about, but I'd never faced before. He's got the Regimental Engine Seer, which is the person who gives the Dorns a 4+ invulnerable save. It's obnoxious, it's outrageous, it's unfair. Couple squads of Bulgrin, even though their points just recently increased, and then a Calidus Assassin, and I think the thing that I was the most nervous about were the Tempestus Aquilons and Scions, who could both deep strike. The Aquilons can deep strike within 3 inches, and I just really wasn't sure how to deal with that. For my own deployment here, you can see we're hiding the Land Raider behind things. We don't want to get shot the first turn. Just trying to give ourselves as much wiggle room as possible and not just get torn to shreds by his huge, amazing, impressive tanks. We also have my 5-man jump intercessors in reserve. That's going to be the case in pretty much every fight moving forward. So unless I say something, that's where they are at the start of the battle. He got first turn, and he got Secure No Man's Land and Extend Battle Lines, which are they're so good. Those are amazing first turn ones. Area Denial might be the best one instead of one of these two, but this is an amazing first turn for secondaries, guys. So he moved his guys up, had a chance to take that top objective. The 10 Catachans, he just put one of them on that middle objective because he couldn't reach the one that's the expansion objective, the natural objective, whatever it's called. He couldn't reach that with any of his guys, and he kept his Bulgrin hidden behind the walls, which was something I wasn't really expecting that much. I thought he would just kind of rush them up to try to hold the objectives. I liked the cagey, not non-committal approach that my opponent was taking. he managed to score 3 for raised banners, and I didn't realize until a little bit later, guys, that raised banners is actually a secondary thing. So we'll correct that eventually. I'll have a graphic that corrects that, but for now, he did score 3, and then he scored extend battle lines a couple times, and he had a total of 13 going into my turn. Now, my secondaries, I got Establish Locus and Extend Battle Lines. Extend is a fine one. Established is fairly worthless, and it's nice to get some CP at the end of turn 1, to be honest. Alright. Imperial Guard. Now, this is the only time we're going to do this green screen thing behind me, because I changed the format halfway through my editing process, and I just don't have time to change everything. It's been a crazy week for me, folks, and you don't have to pity me or anything, but if you want to be less judgy, you can feel free. I know some of you will take me up on it, and some of you won't. It'll be great. So, anyways, this is a good thing on some levels because, like I said, my most recent game was against Imperial Guard. I've actually had a couple games into them, which is more than I can say about most of the factions that I have to face here. The thing that's bad, of course, is I don't know anything about Rogel Dorns or what to expect with them. As it turns out, they're very similar to the Repulsor Executioner in the sense that they just never stop shooting, guys. They have so many guns, and these guns are all extremely impressive. It's an impressive tank, man. It really is. So the idea is we're gonna kind of feint toward that top objective, the far objective from me, the one that's gonna be easy for him to claim that he's already claiming with Catachans, and we're gonna burninate the guys that are on it already. We're going to just mess with it as much as possible, and then when he thinks that I'm committing there, I'm gonna not commit there and just try to hold the other 2 objectives and just kind of leave him with a lot of committed stuff in the corner. At least that's kind of the idea behind it. And otherwise, we want to take out all of his chaff so that it's tough for him to do secondaries, tough for him to score. We don't want to make things easy for him. We want to just kill all of the crap. But, I mean, he's got the reserves, and then he's also got that stratagem that lets you recycle one of your units that's already dead. It lets it come back to life and come in from reserves, which is obnoxious. You can only do it one time, but that does increase the number of chaff teams that he has available. So that's the plan. Let's see if we can hold to it, though, folks. Those Dorns are scary. Alright, the Infernus moved up and burninated those Catachans, poor hapless fellows. The only one was poking his head out, but you do so many wounds with Infernus that it's total destruction. Now, did I need to put all my Infernus out on the objective? I don't think so. I don't think that was necessary, but I did it for fun and stuff. I wanted him to go and have to claim that objective and be a little bit concerned that he wouldn't kill the whole squad. So then I moved everything else up, and I think I actually could have gotten Secure Locus or whatever it's called in with my 10-man jump Intercessor Squad, but I didn't do it. I also had enough room to advance my Intercessors on the bottom objective there to have all 10 members on the objective, but I didn't realize that would be necessary. It's just a lack of experience, folks. So I got Extend, I threw away Establish Locus for CP, which is nice, even though I could have gotten those 2 points. And my opponent got Establish Locus and Cleanse. Not a ton of secondary points, but very accomplishable in the early stages of the game for sure. And he did end up scoring 10 on his primary. So you can see he's gonna Cleanse, and I was wrong about this, by the way, guys. He needs to cleanse, but he has nothing to do that on the top. He actually has a squad of Catachans that scouted, and you just can't see it. So that's my bad on the graphic, but he probably can't cleanse the middle one. Not that easily, at least he can't have a guaranteed cleanse on it. So instead, he's gonna do something fancy. He decided to drive the Hellhound onto the middle objective, but the Hellhound ended up having to shoot, so that wasn't going to work. Instead, he deep struck 10 Aquilons onto the bottom objective, and you can see the Photoshop of it. I actually get a little better and more creative with my Photoshops a little bit later, guys, to make up for a certain lack of photos. But because I only had 3 of my Intercessors on that objective, he was able to just drop onto there and start cleansing the objective out from under me. If I had put all 5 of my intercessors down or onto the actual objective, then he wouldn't have been able to cleanse the thing, and I would have been able to prevent him from scoring a bit. So something we need to be paying attention to. He did do established locus with his assassin in the ruins in the middle. That's why I knew I could have done it as well. I was just kind of a dum-dum. Anyways, he was also able to kill all of my Infernus with all his tanks and everything. It was a tragic, horrific day. Very sad. And the Aquilons just sat there and cleansed right in my face. How dare they? So they ended up scoring 6 more on secondaries, and it's 29-6. Gee whiz, what a crazy score already. I ended up getting Storm Hostile and No Prisoners, which are actually wonderful. Those are such good secondaries for what my army can do. They're also passive. I don't have to do an action to do anything with them, which is what I find is the best kind of secondary for my army, which isn't a good thing, by the way. I'm not making excuses. It's just it is the ideal for me. So we did we only scored 5 on this one, folks. Maybe it's because you can only score in the center objectives, in fact. I don't know. Maybe. Oh no, I didn't score. I didn't hold anything other than my home objective. That's what it was, folks. And so the Land Raider moved up and just cooked the Aquilons, which was nice. And they did spend 2 CP. My opponent spent 2 CP and had them go back into reserves to plague us again. And the Vanguard vets went into the top building to hold the objective. They did, I believe this is, at this point, they killed those Catachans. Maybe they killed them in the fight right before that. I'm not really sure. It's kind of fuzzy at this point, folks, and it's tough to see into those buildings with these photos. So anyways, those Catachans are dead. I believe I got no prisoners for them, in fact. And then the Executioner and the Land Raider Redeemer combined to kill that Hellhound there, which was holding the objective. And my 10-man jump pack intercessors decided to charge the Calidus Assassin, which, if I could do enough Hammer of Wraths, which are just mortal wounds, she only has 4 wounds, and so all I have to do is get a few 4-ups. I didn't actually, I only got 3 of them, though. I think I got to roll 8 or 9, and I rolled way below average, so she got to strike first, kill a few of my jump pack intercessors, and then they did, of course, just punch her right in the face, and she died, but we couldn't do the Hammer of Wraths on. Gosh, what a fiasco. But I needed to kill her because she's such a good action monkey. She has the uppy downy thing that lets her get into really awkward, frustrating places. She also she can do all sorts of secondaries. We needed to just kind of stop her. She also has the Vect thing, which stops you from being able to get cheap stratagems. You just need to take care of her, even if it costs a few jump pack intercessors. So we did end up scoring Storm Hostile because he had that middle objective, and we took it back. And we actually took back the bottom one as well. I wish we could have gotten double Storm Hostiles. There's 2 hostels there. It's a place that lots of people sleep, right? Storm both of those. So, and then we got no prisoners, which was, well, I mean, that's great. That's wonderful. We got the Hellhound, we got the Assassin, maybe we got the Catachans, we got the Aquilons. Good times, just picking up some good secondaries, and we're back in the mix, kind of. 29-20. We're holding the objectives. What will my opponent do? He got containment and no prisoners, which is also amazing. The containment is the best one, guys. It really is. You get 6 points, and you don't have to do that much, especially if you're a mobile army like my opponent. So he ended up getting 5 banners because he held his back objective. But I got to stop him from scoring on the other ones, which is a pretty big deal if we can keep doing that. Now, he did, I don't have a picture for some of this stuff, guys. For a little bit, I didn't take a picture because it's a tournament. We're trying to move quickly. I just didn't take all the pictures. But here's some awesome Photoshoppery that we've got here. And so he put his Tempestuous Scions, which have a ton of plasma shots and meltagun shots, and they have all these rules about sustained and lethal and all this stuff. Maybe it doesn't have all the stuff I'm saying, but they are very good, and they can delete things very well. And then he also deep struck his Aquilons on the bottom there, and he screened the Bulgrin that he advanced from his back zone on the bottom. He screened them with the Aquilon, so I wouldn't be able to get the charge on the Bulgrin with anything if I wanted to. And he's very clearly working up to take out my objective if at all possible. And so I think this is the turn that I rapid ingressed my 5-man jump unit just into the ruins. At some point, they go to where that arrow is pointing toward the middle, and then everything died. I genuinely thought that my veterans in the top building, I thought that they were gonna live. I really actually did, and they just melted, guys. I was like, okay, my opponent has to be able to take that objective. Like, he can't get anyone on the objective, and so he has to kill all of them, or I'm going to be able to score on that thing. And that was false. That was absolutely, really sadly false. So yeah, he deleted those guys, and he deleted all the jump pack intercessors, which I expected that. I didn't think they'd do both. Then again, I didn't remember about the scions being able to deep strike, so there is that. He ended up scoring all of his secondaries once again. So he's gotten a 10, a 6, and an 11 on his secondaries. Just absolutely legendary level secondaries here. But he also only got 5 for his primary, and so we're doing okay here. Now, I got area denial, which is the one in the middle. If you can claim the middle and make sure none of your opponent's models are within 6 inches of the center, that's a really good one for early game. Mid game, it's a tougher one to get, and then there's sabotage as well, which is something you can do. I ended up scoring 15 this turn, though, folks, because I held 3 different objectives. I didn't need to hold that one in up top, or maybe I held it just a little bit. I'm not really, now I'm a little bit fuzzy on that, but I did score 15 this round, probably because I'm fancy. That would be my guess. That's my best guess here, folks. So we also the Land Raider moved up and torched most of, if not all of, the scions there, which was exciting. And I also was able to get the Executioner into the little corner there. And then I moved the Blade Guard. Look at how fancy that graphic is, guys. Up and killed all of the Aquilons. Remember, they were screening the Bulgrin, so I wasn't able to charge the Bulgrin. I didn't want to consolidate into them to let them have more movement or more hits on the Blade Guard. So I did charge in a way as to block the Bulgrin from getting to the objective, because it's going to be the most important part, right? Is we don't want those Bulgrin to be able to contest. We want to hold that objective forever if that's possible. And then I got the Land Raider onto the objective. I was able to we're holding it, guys. We're holding objectives. It's a good time. And so my scoring, I did get area denial. I probably could have gotten sabotage here. I don't know why I didn't get it. Like I said, it's lost to the vagaries of time. It's confusing, but I didn't do it. He has sabotage and overwhelming force. Overwhelming force is the one that lets them kill things that are on my objective and get points for that. So definitely secondaries that he can get. And so he scored 10 this time, because I think he got some Bulgrin up on that top objective or something, but he didn't get 15. If we can keep holding him off from 15, that's going to be a good thing. And he's 55 to 40. He's still way ahead of us. So at least most of the shooting went into the Blade Guard at this point. And the Blade Guard did lose quite a few of their guys. But having those invuln saves and the 3 wounds is pretty good, even though a lot of those tank weapons profiles really do 3 damage. And so every fail kills a Blade Guard, which is which is horrifying, of course. And then the Leman Russ came over and killed all of the Intercessors. So the only thing keeping that objective for me is Sticky. Of course, he wasn't able to get a model on there, and the Bulgrin weren't able to get there either because the Blade Guard were still blocking them. The Blade Guard held, folks. They held, and honestly, I think they only ended up losing one of their number to the Bulgrin. Even after the charge, they chopped up a bunch of the Bulgrin themselves because Adrax is a friggin' hero. And he ended up scoring overwhelming force and the little sabotage, but gosh, he's already got 35 secondaries total. And in reality, he's got 38 because of the raise banners that we haven't included in that total. So he's almost just got maxed secondaries going into turn 5. Now, for my turn 4, I got Defense Stronghold, which is doable, but not that many points. And then Secure No Man's Land, which is something nice. You just have to hold 2 objectives, which I was going to fall into that on my turn. So very good objective secondaries for me. And we scored 15 again, which was huge. Such a big deal to score 15 2 turns in a row. It's massive, folks. That's what someone said. Now, hold on a sec. Okay, sorry about that, folks. So, I decided to send the hiding jump pack intercessors to start messing with his Rogel Dorns, making so that they couldn't get onto the objectives. I think one of them actually was, at this point, on the objective, or at least very close to it. And so the Repulsor Executioner decided to go and just contest the objective, and, was in range. But the Rogel Dorn overwatched and blew up the Executioner. I think he had taken a little bit of damage a little bit before that, but anyways, I was not expecting him to overwatch with that, but because he has lethals on his tanks and he gets so many shots, he just managed to kill the stupid thing. It's very depressing, guys. So, in return, the Eradicators, I was actually advancing with the Repulsor, and but it died, and so I was able, the Eradicators were able to fall out of the thing, and they landed on their feet, and they shot and killed the stupid Dorn. We got it. We got him. We got the bastard. So here's the epic fight between the Blade Guard and the Bulgrin. It just doesn't look that impressive, right? Because we're fighting them to a standstill. They had 6 when they charged in. We only had, I think, Adrax and 3 other guys, so that we've lost a couple of them, but gosh, what legends just holding that Bulgrin squad to a standstill. Adrax is awesome, man. So yeah, just like I said before, the objective is sticky, so we're still scoring on it unless he can find a way to climb onto the objective. I did get Defense Stronghold eventually, because my opponent is way too far away to be able to mess with that, and then I got Secure No Man's Land as well. So we go into the final turn tied 63 to 63. My opponent got Area Denial and Defense Stronghold. Defend is easy to get, but it's not that many points. Area Denial, he was gonna have to kill the stuff off of the objective, and I have a Land Raider there. It's gonna be a very challenging one for him to achieve, honestly. Though, of course, he still has a few tanks to be able to try it if he wants. Now, he did score another 10 on his primary, so now he's at 73. And so what he did, he gave an order to the Bulgrin who were fighting, and so they could fall back. They got the +2 move order though, so they got more movement, and they were able to just go and claim my objective. Those rad bastard, or those ogre bastards. And then his tank was smart, man. They shot the Blade Guard and then charged Adrax, not because Adrax was gonna die from it, maybe he would, but the idea was Adrax would then be unable to charge. He can't fall back and charge, so he wasn't going to be able to get onto that objective. And so in theory, he'd be able to, I think he had a stratagem to give Bulgrin more OC as well, so he could hold that objective and keep me from getting the score on it. It was a really nice endgame move, to be honest. His shooting killed all but one of my remaining Eradicators. I had 6 out there. He shot all of them. It was a whole mess. And The Bulgrim came out of the building at the top, and they tried to charge the Eradicator, but they failed their charge, and they failed their reroll for it as well. So here's the Raise Banners score, guys. So we got the full 40 on his secondaries, but he only managed to score 35 on primary. So if I could get some kind of advantage there, that would be obviously that would be fairly ideal. So we ended up with 75, obviously 10 for fully painted. And so I got behind enemy lines, which was doable with one of my squads. I'd get 3 for that. And then assassination, if I could just kill one of his characters, which, in fact, one of his characters was available for death right away. And so I'm behind by 12 going into it. I have to score something. So I used the Autopass Battle Shock on the Eradicator so I could score on that objective. And then I also managed to just move the Land Raider over and just claimed the objective. Even if he had double the OC on those Bulgrim, he only had 2 of them left. So the Land Raider, I didn't even bother to shoot. I was just like, look, let's just back it up, back it up, and managed to score on that thing. And then at the end, my jump back intercessor got me behind enemy lines because he had to pass a battle shock, but he did. It wasn't strictly necessary for him to get that. And then finally, the Eradicator shot the priest thing that gives invulnerable saves. It just happened to be close to my objective, and I was like, oh, that's a character, I'll have that. And I didn't really need that kill. I needed something, though. I needed either that 1 kill, or I needed a jump pack intercessor guy to pass his battle shock. Something like that. We got one of them to succeed, and in the end I did score 50 for primary, only 36 on secondary, but I ended up getting a good score. And that was that, folks. I ended up with the win, 96 to 85, because I was able to deny him scoring on his primary. He did his secondaries like a boss. Really impressive, really good play. And I feel like if things went a little bit differently, a few different places, he probably would have ended up beating me, frankly. Really good play, really good match. And I'll say this right now, guys. This is by far the biggest margin of victory or of anything in the rest of the tournament. Everything else is significantly closer than this. So huge props to my opponent, really nice guy, and we got through all 5 turns. We didn't even need to use the clock, though. I think I used the clock on every single other match besides this one. Maybe number 4 we didn't use the clock, but we managed to get through all the turns of most of our games, at least, which is nice. Now the second round is against Gladius Marines, a guy who traveled here from Phoenix, apparently. So let's get prepped for that one. Alright, round 2, we're playing on table quarters, and I don't have much experience with this map, and frankly with his list. So it's Linchpin, which I do have experience with this one. You score 3 on your home objective, and if you hold your home objective, the other objectives are worth 5 instead of 3. Here are the beautiful blue glowy objectives. Here's his list. This is a lot of stuff that I've never seen before, never faced, and frankly, it really threw me for a loop. So he has an Impulsor with Company Heroes and Uriel Ventress. Never seen those guys before. I've never seen Incursors, which he had 5 of. I've never seen Storm Speeder Thunderstrikes, which he had 2 of. I've never seen the Predator Destructors. So it's the same book as I play, but he's playing units that I just have no practical experience with. We've seen that Hellblaster Lieutenant with Fire Discipline is really strong, and so I knew that he could do some cool stuff. I wasn't sure exactly what he could do. However, he has Centurion Devastators in reserve, a Deep Striking, because Uriel is able to give them Deep Strike, and then Inceptors, the guys who can Deep Strike within 3 inches, are also in reserve. Now, I put 5 jump intercessors in reserve, and you can see I kind of made a blunder here, guys. This is just due to inexperience and general stupidity. I stacked all of my Infernus and the Vanguard vets inside of that little footprint is what they call it. If for those of you who don't know what it is, it's just a thing that will prevent line of sight being drawn to someone as long as you're behind it. If you're inside of it, people can see into it and shoot you. And I don't know why. I knew better than that. I really did. But I did it anyways. I didn't think he's going to get good line of sight on me or something. So really, really dumb. He ended up, I think this is the last time I'm going to show you guys the secondary cards because it just gets to be too crazy. But he got Containment and Secure No Man's Land, which are amazing first round things to be able to get. So he just had 2 5-man jump pack intercessors jumping onto objectives. Pretty good. And then he killed like 7 of my Vanguard vets, which I just wasn't expecting, guys. I didn't think he could, and he did. It was a good play on his part. It felt bad, but it was a good play. It was a good play. So I guys, making the moves that I have, I just didn't have any notion that he had as much strong offense as he did. I figured he could kill one of my tanks, probably through shooting, probably, almost certainly not both of them. And he was like, no, both of your tanks are absolutely going to die. It's so easy. And, I mean, you'll see. You'll see if he was right. So the 10-man jump pack intercessors jumped up to grab the objective up top because my intercessors weren't able to get there in time. And so the Land Raider Redeemer and Infernus Marines. The Infernus went up and they were able to fry the impulsor a little bit. A couple other shots went into it, and I think he got a really lucky save on a melt-a-gun or something, and it didn't die. It was tragic, so sad. But I was holding the objective because the Land Raider Redeemer also cooked some jump pack intercessors. I don't think we showed that for a minute, but the Executioner blew up a Predator, which was great. I was like, good, as long as we can kill a Predator, then we're probably good. Like, those things that's one of his main sources of firepower. Kill one of the Predators, and one of my tanks at least is going to live. And there we go. The Land Raider cooked some jump pack intercessors. Pretty neat. And again, guys, I exposed my tanks, and there wasn't a great reason to do that. I killed one Predator. Yay. Go. So his Hellblasters got out, the company heroes got out, Devastator, Centurions, wow, what am I even trying to spell there? Devastator Centurions landed on the right-hand side, you can see the arrow there. The Inceptors on the left-hand side landed there because he had marked for death, and I chose the Vanguard veterans thinking they were safe, forgetting about the fact that my infiltrators were moved out of the way because of the Land Raider. This is an order of operations thing that I just still haven't gotten down perfectly, guys. It's just an experience thing. I'll get better at it, but I gave marked for death to the Vanguard vets because they were behind a wall. I thought they were safe. The Inceptors knew otherwise and were able to, well, you'll see what happens. So, yeah, the Hellblasters killed the Land Raider. The tanks and the Centurions killed my Executioner. It wasn't close, folks. They slaughtered both of those tanks. He was absolutely right. He was so self-assured that they were going to die, and he was right. The Incursors also got marked for death on the Vanguard vets because I wasn't smart enough to just pick my captain instead. So he didn't even kill the captain, he just killed the Vanguard vets, and he got marked for death. The first time someone has gotten marked for death on me since I started playing this edition. So, tragic. And the company heroes charged the Blade Guard veterans. And the Blade Guard, actually, my opponent was pretty sure I got really lucky. I probably did, but at the end of the day, not all of the Blade Guard were dead, and a lot of the company heroes were dead. I think it's because he tried to kill Adrax with his company champion, and he rolled like 6 wounds, which he only has 6 attacks. So, I mean, someone got lucky. And then I think I rolled a bunch of saves, and he barely lived. So that was satisfying. And the Intercessors got onto the top objective. That's at the start of my next turn, of course. And so Intercessors got onto the top objective. The jump back Intercessors who had claimed that top objective prepared to charge the Hellblasters, because we gotta gamble here, guys. We gotta get into that center objective and really mess some stuff up. The Eradicators who had been forcibly disembarked from that Land Raider managed to shoot and kill that Storm Speeder, and that felt good. That was very satisfying, in fact. And the jump pack intercessors of the Techmarine, who had been traumatized by the death of his beloved tank within 3 inches. He was enraged and went on a killing spree. He ended up killing a whole nother squad as well by the end of it. He killed another squad of jump pack intercessors on his own. It's fairly impressive. The Blade Guard, this time they got unlucky and they didn't kill, I think they killed the rest of the heroes, but they didn't kill Uriel Ventress. And we went back and forth for a while. We traded stuff. I just didn't have as many things to trade because he'd made good moves and stopped me from being able to do anything, frankly. And somehow the intercessors, like Uriel Ventress, found his way up to the top objective, and the intercessors charged out. I don't think my opponent expected that at all, which was pretty fun. And along the way, my opponent had recorded my score as 40 less than I had, which was just, I was so surprised that he was like, yeah, like you, so on turn 5, he was like, I don't want to do anything. Like, I think he was trying to be a good sport here. Honestly, I think he was like, okay, I'm going to let you get as many points as you can. And I was like, okay. And he's like, you mathematically can't win. And we're on a timer. I'm like, I think I could if things go right. He's like, no, you can't possibly win. It's not mathematically possible for you to get enough points. And I was like, okay, well, okay, I'll take my turn. I don't have time for this. It's on my clock, you know, and we're racing toward the end, right? And so I went and I scored. I got a 13 on primary, and I misplayed my jump pack intercessors that had come in from reserve really embarrassingly poorly. I think if I had been able to play those a little better, I might have been able to get a slightly better score. And in the end, tragedy of tragedies. I ended up with 1 banner short. Now, to be clear, I think if my opponent had decided to really kick my ass on turn 5, I don't think I would have gotten as good of a score as I got. So, you know, he was trying to be a good sport, and I think he was, at least. He was, you know, he was saying, like, well, it's mathematically impossible, so try to get as many points as you possibly can. And, you know, I appreciate that. I just, you know, it was just a very confusing situation. I don't have any ill will against my opponent. He was really good. He outplayed me, for sure. I played very poorly. He played very methodically and very well. And it was just that end interaction. I was like, okay, like, I think I can, and I think I can score some. And then we reconciled the scores. You're like, oh, look at that. I almost just threw the game away. And so he ended up going 4-2. My last opponent, by the way, in round 1, went 4-2 for the whole tournament. So we got the loss, which is so disappointing. I just want to win the whole thing, right? Even though it's not realistic. I'm just like, yes, I want to win. And so getting this loss, okay, fine. Let's go. Let's get 5-1 though, right? That's the goal. So yeah, the next match is against Tyranids. All right, Tyranids Invasion Fleet is what my opponent was playing. His name was Manuel, and he was a very good player. We were both really tired, clearly just exhausted from the playing in the tournament, and so I took like 3 total photos here, guys. So I'm going to show you what his deployment was and give you kind of some stuff. We have a small spoiler. I did face another Tyranid player, and I'll give a much stronger recap on that one. But this one, just show you guys the shape of the match. So Crucible of Battle, the deployment zone with diagonal. We're doing Purge the Foe, which is the kill more one. It's a nightmare to keep track of as far as scoring goes. Me and my opponent actually spent a lot of time trying to reconcile our score on this one. And so you can see this is our deployment. I think this was actually in the middle of, this is like right after my first turn, something like that. I had second turn. He got first turn. I think maybe he got, it doesn't matter, guys. I think maybe I did get first turn, in fact. And so I have my jump intercessors up there. I think they just killed something. Who even knows? Okay, so this is, like, most of his stuff at this point is just dead. He has a couple big bugs. I've managed to kill quite a bit of stuff. I backed up with my jump pack intercessors thinking he couldn't charge me, and then he ended up getting a pretty nice roll for his charge, and his warriors, gosh, with all those sustained hits and lethal, like, it is so impressive to watch that many dice being rolled. Honestly, guys, it looks like a lot of work, but it is really cool to watch. And so we get to the point here, folks, at the end of turn 4, and we're just like out of time, right? So he's got his T-Fex at the very bottom there, and I'll do more captions on the rest of the slides, folks. Sorry about that. He's got his Malleus Scepter up top, and his Malleus Scepter for his life cannot finish off my 1 wound remaining Land Raider, and you know, it's almost just funny, and the Tyrannifex is just not able to shoot it and kill it. It's almost funny, except it's really frustrating my opponent, which I totally get. Absolutely, 100%. So end of turn 4, though, my opponent's clock ran out, and to be fair, we were both a little slobby with the clock. Like, there were a few times that I was like, oh, the clock is still on me, so I just clicked it back to him because it was his turn, he was going, and when neither of us really said anything to each other, it was fine. And a couple other times I think that happened to me as well, so I have no idea. Like, we were both kind of just sharing the clock, right? But his clock ran out, and we were both being a little sloppy, and so anyways, he ends his turn. He's like, okay, well, I'm out of clock, you know, like take like your last less than a minute to go. And all I needed to do, guys, he had nothing in anywhere close to the middle objective, and I killed everything in that area, and I had saved the secondary for which is area denial. So all I needed to do, folks, was move the tank onto the objective, like 2 seconds worth. Just pivot him and land him there, call it good. And then that was it. That's all I had to do. And I had less than a minute to do it, so that's good. I didn't have anything more to do. And so I was about to do it, and they yelled dice down even as we still had more clock. And I think we just must have set the clock too late in the round or something. I don't know. But they yelled dice down right as I was reaching for my tank to set it on that objective. And so I lost. I lost, and it felt so bad, guys. I lost by one banner again. Oh my gosh. The dice, it was just so shocking. I was like, I just want to move my one thing, and I don't think my opponent was like, I don't think he planned a gotcha or anything. We were both wiped out, and he was like, okay, well, I guess I win by 1. I was, I mean, I don't know what to do, and that's it. Like, I need to play faster. I need to learn to get better with my clock management and stuff. If I had played faster, then that just wouldn't have happened, and then I would have won. But I lost by 1. Again, 2 games in a row I lost by 1, and it felt bad, especially because this one I felt like I had played pretty well in as well. But, you know, kudos to my opponent. He actually, there were a few times that if he had gotten average dice, I think he could have shifted it anyways. He ended up being, he got best in faction for Tyranids. He went 5-1 for the weekend, so huge props to him. He, you know, really good player, really good opponent. Oh, man. What a nightmare, guys. Losing 2 in a row by 1 banner. But the close games will continue here, folks. So let's continue on. Folks, I want to be real clear here. I don't think my opponent was at all being shady or shifty on that. It felt bad. That doesn't mean anything against him. Nothing bad against my second opponent, who was a genuinely nice person. Really, truly not complaining about my opponents. If that sounds like I was, I think it's just because of the anguish that's reflected in my soul, my inner being, of losing that way a couple times. It feels bad, but I can get over it. If you can get over it, let's move on. We're facing demons, which I've only faced 1 time. It was my, 3rd game ever in this edition. It was actually against the same opponent here, but that was his first game playing demons when we played back then too. So it's different now, guys. It's significantly different. Let's jump in. We're facing a guy named Nathan, which he's a really nice guy, really cool guy. And I was like, oh, this is so good. I was so sore. It's in the morning, guys, and We've just played 3 games, and I'm tired from the previous day. It's early, so to speak. I didn't get a ton of sleep. I'm old now, and my back is aching, and it was such a relief to get a game in against Nathan, who I knew, and we've been talking before, and so it was such a relief to get to face a friendly face. Not that my other opponents weren't friendly, but someone I actually knew. It just takes a little bit of the edge off. I think probably you can agree and relate to on some level. So it's Crucible of Battle again, and this is the toughest one to mark your deployment zone, guys. Not complaining really, except I'm complaining. It's annoying. So the ritual, this is the one where you create your own objectives, and it's total mayhem, but we're playing it here, and it's really not a great one to face demons on, frankly, because they could just place their guys wherever and then build an objective that I just can't get to. It's a whole, and they can teleport within really close range of them. This is not a good one for us against demons. So here's the 3 objectives that we start with, because we're creating our own objectives. The other ones are removed. So he has a lot in reserves. He's got a Bloodthirster, Changeling, 10 Plague Bearers, and then some 2 squads of Bloodletters. Those Bloodletters actually had characters with them. I didn't write that down, and I think the Plague Bearers also had a character with them. And then he has his Great Unclean One, which has the 4-up Feel No Pain enhancement, it makes him the most resilient character out there, the most resilient. He's got, what, 20 or 22 wounds, something like that, with 12 toughness, a 4-up invuln, and 4+ Feel No Pain. It is absolutely a mess. Bellicor, which makes it so that I can't shoot at him past 18 inches. It makes him a lone op. He's got the Lord of Change up there, the Plague Bearers, and then he's got the Beast of Nurgle, which I thought was an interesting thing to start on the board. I guess he's tough to kill, though, because if you don't kill him in one round of whatever phase it is, it just regenerates all of his hit points in the next phase, and you have to do it again. He has, like, for 60-something points, just an amazing level of value, folks. So here's my deployment, and I made a huge mistake. I'm going to point it out in a minute, but the Intercessors and Infiltrators were intended to go in opposite places because I wanted the Infiltrators to be in a place to really mess with the demon ability to deep strike, and then the Intercessors could just hold my back objective, which eventually I realized was a fairly worthless endeavor anyways, because unless you get a secondary that has something about your home objective, there's no reason to hold this objective. It's not worth points in this one. And then otherwise, I just deployed my generalized places, and I just wanted to keep my stuff out of line of sight from that Lord of Change. And if he did get his Lord of Change close enough, then I could hopefully jump him and take him out. So stayed behind walls, and I built an objective. You can see where the arrow's pointing, and that's where the Vanguard vets are. And then here's that mistake that I made with the Intercessors and the Infiltrators, and there was just no going back from that point. And then so Nathan built his own objective. Bellicor did. I definitely made a slide like that. Apparently I didn't keep it, but yeah. So Bellicor made his own objective, and then the Great Unclean One got into the center objective and just waited. So in my turn, the Jump Pack Intercessors built another objective. So we've got a lot of objectives going on here, folks, and it's a whole mess. The Infernus ran up to contest the objective so that the Great Unclean One wouldn't get to score the next turn, and we're just waiting. I did manage to snipe that Beast of Nurgle with the Executioner, which, I mean, that was nice. I didn't want him to make an objective and just be unkillable. He's an obnoxious fellow. I'm glad he died. So his Bloodthirster came in right where the Beast of Nurgle died and just blew up the Executioner. He got his 9. I think he failed his first charge, and then he did a command reroll, and he got it. He spiked it and just bludgeoned the hell out of the Executioner. Terrible. Oof, that was not great. So in return, my Jump Pack Intercessors jumped in between, and I did heroic rapid ingress sorry, wrong rule. Rapid Ingrist the 5-man jumpers on his turn so that they'd be able to help, and I positioned them so that I'd be able to charge both the Bloodthirster and Be'lakor, who were kind of close by, and then I got the Melta guys as well on the bottom there, and we're ready. So I got the Land Raider Redeemer onto the objective in the middle to contest the center 5-5, and the Jump Pack Intercessors and Eradicators combined to kill both of the big squads, which was great. Felt really good. The big units. You can see up top you deep struck a unit of Plague Bearers. I don't really talk about it because they just kind of fought. They just kind of bickered with the Intercessors. They never killed the Intercessors. The Intercessors killed a couple of them and backed up and backed up. And eventually those Plague Bearers went in charge. They committed suicide and killed themselves on the Vanguard Vets, which was nice. That felt good. Here we are. So the Bloodletters came in, and because he was in his own deployment zone, he was able to deploy within 6 inches of my guys, which is not great because he gets rerolls and bonuses and stuff like that. Really terrible stuff. So he's able to charge in, just wiped out the Jump Pack Intercessors, and then he just held objectives for the rest of the turn, for the rest of the game over there. The Blade Guard got out of their Land Raider and chopped the Lord of Change into pieces. They managed to, the Vanguard Vets also jumped up and destroyed the Changeling with flamer shots, and that was basically it here, folks. So the final score at the end of the day was 70-69 in favor of the Salamanders, which is another 1-point game. I got the win, but gosh, it was so sloppy, guys. Facing demons without knowing what the heck they do, really? I mean, I don't think Nathan was messing with me. If he told me everything about him. I just, you know, there's only a certain level of just sitting there and trying to plan that you can do in a tournament. And if you don't have that information, sometimes you just have to, you know, if like his Bloodthirster hadn't gotten the charge on our tank, I think it would have ended up being we would have ended up having so much material that we were able to just take him out. So anyways, that Great Unclean one is ridiculous. So tough to kill. I dumped so much firepower into him, and at the end he still had like most of his wounds. It's 4-up Invuln with 4-up Feel No Pain is so crazy. So anyways, we got the win. I don't know if I earned it or not. I mean, I think I made some good moves. We made the moves that we needed to, I guess. And honestly, if you've noticed, guys, my secondaries, my primary play has been actually fairly strong, at least compared to my opponents, but my secondary play is so lacking. It is really, really depressingly bad, honestly. So let's jump into the next round, which is our next Tyranid opponent. Alright, we're at 2-2 going into this round, folks. We can get it to the point where we don't have a losing record if we can win this, and we're facing probably my favorite opponent of the weekend, honestly. Nothing against any of the other opponents. Brad was so laid back and awesome this whole game. It was a lot of fun. And so we're facing Tyranid Invasion Fleet here. Like I said, we're doing Scorched Earth with Tipping Point. And I think if I had one complaint about the event itself was, but we don't have a way to go around the tables. They're all just one long straight board of 5 tables just connected to each other. And so all of our deployment zones being on the far ends meant we had to reach all the way across the board every single time. And it was very challenging to access the full board, frankly, unless you were on one of the ends, which I was only on one of the ends 2 different games, which I guess is probably a fair number and distribution, but it was a tricky one. Anyways, Scorched Earth is the one where you destroy objectives on your, you start destroying it on your turn, and it eventually is destroyed long term if your opponent can't stop it. It's very similar to Sabotage as a secondary. So here are the objectives circled in lovely blue, and he's got a really nice looking army, folks. Really nice looking army. Very effective as well. So he's got he's got 3 Maleceptors and an Exocrine, and then he's got a Hive Tyrant somewhere. He'll be more visible eventually, and so a bunch of Gargoyles, and the unit of 6 Zoanthropes with a Neurolictor was a pretty frustrating thing. And then we had just faced those warriors for the first time with the Tyranid Prime. He He's a leader. So 7 warriors. They do so many attacks. It's honestly super impressive. It's funny because the Prime can join the unit, and the Prime has like a 14-inch move or something like that. And the warriors themselves only have a 8-inch move, so you can't move the Prime as fast as he would like, I suppose. Here's my deployment. We can put the infiltrators up top just to mess with his potential deep strike shenanigans with gargoyles and stuff. And then you can see the repulsor was just gonna go and mess with the flank and stuff. I've played on this map a few times at this point, and we're starting to get a little more used to it at least. And the Tyranid shooting is so different from that Space Marine Gladius list. Anyways, even though it's very effective shooting, it's just very different. And so I think this is the start of his turn 2. I put the Infernus onto the objective, I think just to force him into the middle somewhere. I wanted him to start committing. I didn't want to just get into an extended shooting match because I only have one thing that's very good ranged. And so he managed to go in and he grabbed the middle objective pretty hard. He didn't kill all of the Infernus, which I was surprised about. He almost killed all of them. Eventually they would all die. So that was good, but he has a couple of his big bugs on that objective, and you can see he kind of ignored that bottom objective for a little bit because in Scorched Earth, you only need to control 2 objectives in order to get your max. You can only get 10 total from holding objectives, and then if you want to get max banners, you have to burn some of the objectives, if not all of them, to be able to do it. So now we do have last turn, which is nice for the burning of objectives because he can't stop me if I start burning them in my own turn. So we were able to kill one of his Maleceptors here, brought one of his Maleceptors down to 2 wounds. We didn't quite kill the entire zone off of him, but I did manage. I think this was one of my like Storm Hostile secondaries, so it's nice to be able to retake that center objective. And so one thing I want to mention here, guys, the Vanguard vets were just playing tag the whole game with the whole squad of Zoanthropes, and there's a Hive Tyrant up there. There's a whole mess of characters, so the jump back interceptors could hold that objective and stay out of the footprint. You can see the little red outline that I did on the building, and so the Zoanthropes were staying on one side of the building, and they couldn't see the Vanguard vets, even if they kind of cut over and around. Like I was able to keep them out of line of sight, and so there was a couple turns where they just kind of stared at each other, and neither of us held the objective, or maybe I did, but one way or another, he wasn't able to shoot the Vanguard vets, which was really all I cared about. I just wanted to play footsie with him. I wanted to not have to focus on that objective. I didn't want to have to lean all the way across the table to mess with that squad either. So, anyways, he did overrun the center. I killed some of his stuff, and gosh, those warriors, 7 warriors, guys, in the middle, along with 2 Maleceptors. What a brick! It's such a hefty brick there. And then he took the bottom objective there with gargoyles, which was, I mean, you can kill gargoyles if you need to. You can see he was taking my own trick actually on the bottom there, and hiding them behind the objective. And anyways, the Blade Guard went in, and between the Executioner and the Redeemer being able to do a lot of wounds to the warriors and the Blade Guard, I managed to chop up everything, everything in that center. So we cleared it, which was so surprising actually, really nice. And the Neolictor got into the center, and they didn't quite kill all the Blade Guard, and in fact the Blade Guard were doing okay against it. And you can see there's some gargoyles waiting in the wings to kind of swoop in and claim that middle objective as well, except we do have the Land Raider Redeemer, which can just roast gargoyles with Overwatch. And I should just say, guys, I'm not showing you all of the different Overwatches, but the Land Raider Redeemer, if you play it kind of passively and keep it alive the whole game, it's just inevitably going to kill a ton of stuff with Overwatch. It's an extremely inconvenient vehicle to have in the middle because people can't get close to it in order to kill it. So they have to kill it by ranged, and it's tough to do, honestly, as long as you're keeping keeping good care of it. So, and anyways, the Nerelictor managed to survive for a little bit, but we eventually killed it. I managed to one-shot the Exocrine, which is in the back. The Exocrines don't have an invulnerable save, so managed to take him out. And so that was basically it. The Vanguard Vets all eventually died to the Zoanthropes, though that they actually killed all of the Zoanthropes. There was just the Hive Tyrant, and I think the Nerelictor, I eventually killed that one as well with like a random Eradicator Overwatch shot or something like that. And then, let's see, the Tyrant tried to set the top objective on fire, but I think they only have OC4, so I managed to get those, the guys up top that you guys can see, the infiltrators. I managed to get all of them onto the objective and just stop him from burning and setting that thing on fire, which was really helpful, of course. And then I managed to set the middle one on fire, I believe, and I contested the bottom zone with stuff. And at the end of the day, I ended up getting the win by 83 to 80. Once again, he destroyed me on secondaries, just not doing the best. But anyways, we reported 3 wins, guys. We've got a not losing record for the tournament, and the final one. Gosh, the final one is. I'm tired just thinking of it, guys, because not that my opponent was tiresome, and all my opponents honestly have been great up to this point, and my next one is also great. Don't want you to think he wasn't. It's just, gosh, I haven't played a 6-game event for a long time, and I was feeling it, man. I was tired. I was fatigued, and I had to learn a new army. It was an army I'd never played before, which was also just it's very challenging to do anyways, but in a tournament setting at the end of the day, honestly, I wasn't going to, but I was like, I should just quit. I should just throw in the towel and forfeit, but definitely never going to do that. So let's jump into the final match. Game 6, we're facing Imperial Knights. Finally doing it, folks. We're doing it, and I don't have a whole lot about this game. I took 2 pictures. So we're doing the table quarters again. We're doing take and hold, so we're able to hold a bunch of objectives when we actually did the hidden supplies thing. So there's in fact 4 middle objectives here, and so yeah, I think my opponent's name was Phil. Nice guy, really. It was good. We were both. He had just started playing in May. I'd just been starting in like September or something like that. So we were both a little bit, just a tiny bit shaky. But he was very solid in terms of just gameplay and planning and knowing what to do. So what he did, he went to disrupt my stuff with just a couple of his little guys. I don't even know, they're Armigers or Helverins or something. He went up top. One of them has like the chainsaw hand that's good in close combat. One of them has the autocannons and sucks in close combat. And so he went up top pretty early, and then he really stacked that bottom defense, the bottom quarter, and I just couldn't get to it. I could not get to that thing. So I had this. I had a time that I drew Storm Hostile Objective and the overwhelming force, and I was like, I really want to take that middle objective. And so we got the Blade Guard out, and they charged, and honestly, I think math-wise, I should have just been able to kill the thing. I'm not complaining, but I think I should have been able to. And he rolled very fire in different streaks of this match, and that's not a thing against him. You have to learn to overcome dice. It just felt bad because he saved most of them, and it ended up kind of helping me later, but not really. It felt like it helped me because he was able to eventually put it on a different objective, and I managed to kill him before he could score in the next turn on it. But at the end of the day, with this many objectives that he could hold and just kind of hole up, we ended up both scoring max on primary here. But what I ended up doing, my jumpers at the very top ended up, they killed the 2 guys up top, and the Blade Guard were able to be so distracting that he didn't really send anyone else up there, and I managed to take over the objective over there. They managed to take over the home objective, which ended up not really doing that much, and at the end of the game, we were both out of time, basically. We both had, I think he was using my clock for his final turn, which was totally fine, totally fine. Like, we just had we had no more time left. And at the end of it, he was charging. He probably would have been able to kill the squad. I had said I'm leaving these guys off of the objective because I didn't want them to be on the objective. I had no reason for them to be on the objective. I didn't want them to score secondaries, but what ended up happening was I did leave one on the objective, and we didn't have time to debate it. He started attacking them, and then we ran out of time. Dice down, and that was it. And nothing against him for attacking. I did clearly leave guys on there. Even though I declared the intent, I was like, no, I don't. I'm trying to leave guys off of the objective because I had no point. It was turn 5, end of turn 5 for me. Why would I leave guys on an objective where he could do a storm hostile objective and get more points? But one way or another, he did start attacking. I don't blame him for it. We didn't have time to discuss it. Like I said, we were in the last final seconds of the clock. And at the end, because it was dice down, he put down his dice. He didn't complain. We talked amicably after it, and I ended up with the once again a 1-point win and a 4.0 record. And it was this is the only time. So we both got max primary, and one of the very few times I outscored my opponent on the secondary. And a lot of that, guys, some of it is just, I'm sure I got a little unlucky here and there on my draws. Some of it was, losing that extra jump intercessor squad that could just deep strike onto things and be able to just get objectives done. Missing that, and like the Techmarine was never in a place to do objectives. Like he just never could. He was never outside my deployment zone. Basically, he was just hanging out with the Repulsor Executioner, which was nice. The buff to its ranged attacks was actually extremely effective. It was really nice. So no real complaint about it. It was just more like we're missing a ton of points from that one squad, and so it was disappointing. Obviously, it didn't go as well as I was hoping for, but we need to work on our secondaries, and we'll be planning new lists now that the event is over. So let's do the after action report, and then let's get out of here. I'm sure this is well over an hour at this point. So final record 4-2. And 4 of my games were decided by 1 point. One of them was decided by 3 points, and the final one was 11 points. That's not unclose. It was a